sights to see, rolling hills or city streets, ocean to ocean and all in between. It's out there just waiting on you and me. Take it in, we got no plans. Good things come to those who can. Live moment to moment and all in between. It's out there just waiting on you and me. So look alive, 'cause while I was waiting for you, paradise is on the other side of the road. We don't know, taking a long way. You and I were born to roll.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Karen Reed Whatever Trial.
Extravaganza.
Oh, goodness. We've had some updates overnight. Clash with Bao was apparently competent enough to be released on his own recognizance.
Okay.
He is out. He is posting in various forums, apparently, and Matt G says boobs. So, good morning, Matt G. Good morning, Sue Bear. Good morning, Jason. Good morning, Pants. Good morning, Griffey. And good morning, if I missed you, in the side chat. Oh, good Lord. So, he's out, and guess who's looking for his number? Any guesses?
Christopher Rupp.
No, Christopher Ruff already has that.
Oh.
But,
Silly.
Stop cussing.
The DUI guy is looking for his number, putting tweets out saying, you could have an immediate payoff here, dude.
Oh, sure.
So the DUI guy who's been involved in the case before was brought in at least one day by the family of Karen Reed last trial.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he faked a press pass before that?
Mm-hmm.
Got kicked out. Yeah, he is apparently looking to file suit or allegedly looking to file suit on behalf of Clash with Bao.
Okay.
Could you see those idiots together?
Yes, I could. He also represented Elevator Boy too.
Well, he turned on him in a heartbeat, though.
Well, that's because he didn't have a case. You know, like it turned out not to be what Chrissy said it was. Wow, big surprise, shocker.
Yeah, not supporting Chris, but to me, there seemed like maybe some breaches of attorney-client privilege in that whole the way that shit went down. But
Yeah, I remember that because he immediately turned on him and even put his address out there, so he doxed his own possible client. That's real swell guy. Real swell guy. But they brought him in for a little bit last year. He wined and dined with the defense team. He looked less like a criminal than Turtle Boy's lawyer does, because
true.
Turtle Boy and his lawyer both dress like they're mobsters out of the Star Trek episode where they go back in time to the 30s.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific.
With the wide lapels and the over-the-top suits.
Suits, yep.
Yeah, again, good morning, Becca.
Hey, hon.
Hi, Becca.
She wants me, you know.
And what she wants you for? Your chicken tenderloins?
For my meat. For my meat.
Yes, you're foot wide, not foot long, foot wide, a square foot pork tenderloin.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yep,
that's what's on sale today at the Pope's Meats.
Holy smokes barbecue. Yep.
With
foot wide, foot wide.
Foot wide. Foot wide. It's a rectangle. 1 foot on each side. That's right. On the tiniest bun imaginable, even though the bun is like 10 cents to pay for it. Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder how people can eat those sandwiches that are that big, you know?
Well, usually you cut around so you have the actual bun, size sandwich, and then you eat the excess.
Griffey, I'm not going to say my favorite one because it's being banned. It'll be banned by the time I say it. We've got, remember the side scroll on the bottom as part of our fundraising efforts for the paper / this channel for the year. They're taking away my favorite fast foods. Torture Jim for every $5 collected via PayPal, Cash App, GoFundMe, Super Chat, Super Thanks, or membership. In fact, you get a discount if you get a membership because that counts as a day. I'll be banned for another day from Subway, Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Arby's, and KFC.
That reminds me, I need to update. How many days did we have?
I forget.
We're getting close to 800.
Yeah, Touche should be here in a little bit. Tell us all.
22117.
And thank you, Griffey, for 2 more days, even though they're Australian dollars.
Good morning.
Well, this goes to your favorite fast food. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Griffey.
Experts in this case are permitted to watch testimony in order to prepare for rebuttal. It asks for that.
For rebuttal, like post? For responding, okay.
In our case, for both sides.
Okay. What's your position? Ms. Little, you want to?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Brennan, is there any reason not to?
I need to give it some thought. I'm not willing to agree. I'll abide by whatever the court thinks is fair.
So why don't you think about it? We'll address it later today. Okay, there's no expert testimony today, right?
It's not.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, sure. Is that it? Ready to bring the jury in?
That's all.
You wanted a ruling on the clip from yesterday?
I did.
All right, you can play it.
Thank you.
All right.
Woohoo!
So we'll take a quick break.
Okay, while they're taking a break, the clip from yesterday was they're using clips from Karen Reed's various documentary appearances, interviews, whatever, to bookend whatever was said in cross-examination. So like the other day when Alan Jackson spent an hour trying to get his point across, which we never quite got, for a guy to question if Karen Reed said, I did it on the scene while he was working on John O'Keefe's body. they played a segment from one of the videos stating where Karen Reed said, I know I said it on scene, I just don't know if I said it the amount of times the cop said I said it. So
Right.
everything Jackson did was kind of negated by the little video clip.
Yeah, I'm thinking the defense team is rethinking how doing that special and all the interviews is playing out for them.
Yeah. Because Karen Reed essentially admitted to everything they're trying to disprove. Like they're right now they're saying that John didn't die by being struck by Karen's car, and that never happened. Well,
Never.
I'm sure in the documentary she talks about hitting John with the car, or the possibility of it. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first round they just they didn't the prosecution didn't nail down didn't stress how the ground was frozen. So hitting your head on, because when the ground's not frozen, if you fall and hit your head on the lawn, usually it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But when it's frozen, it's like falling on concrete.
Yeah. They also missed a lot in that first case. They have learned, it seems, in this one, what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah. What to emphasize more.
Right. I think basically both sides have learned, but I think the defense hasn't really shown that they've learned. You know, they're making bold statements, but they're not backing it up.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All persons having anything to do before the Honorable Beverly Cannoni, the Justice of the Superior Court, now holding in Dedham, within and for the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is in session. Please be seated.
God save the Queen.
22117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
All right, good morning again, counsel. Good morning, Ms. Reed. Good morning, jurors. I have to ask you those same three questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we were here yesterday? Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Yes. Everyone said yes and nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case since we left here yesterday? No. Everyone said no or should be. Thank you very much. Will we bring Mr. Whitney back in, please? Ms. Canetti, you can step up to the podium.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Pants, it's okay. We'll get it down.
Sir, I'll remind you, you're still under oath. Thank you.
791, Jim.
I hate you.
Yes.
I hate you so much.
Mr. Whitley, yesterday
I
you
hate
testified that when Karen Reed was
Good, we're
in a
even.
hospital,
I hate you too.
she didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny and she didn't want to give a urine sample. Do you recall that testimony?
I do.
It was clear to you that her reluctance to cooperate at that time was because she very much wanted to check on John's progress and status at the hospital, correct?
No, I don't believe that to be the case.
Well, you testified before the grand jury regarding this matter 3 years ago, didn't you?
I don't believe I said that she was
I
reluctant.
didn't ask you that question. You testified before the grand jury
Oh, God.
3
He's in a mood.
years ago, didn't you?
I testified before the grand jury 3 years ago.
You were under oath then, as you're under oath today, correct?
Correct.
You swore to tell the truth.
I am telling the truth.
You swore to tell the truth in 2022 before the grand jury, did you not?
I did.
That was less than 3 months after you brought Karen Reed to the hospital, didn't you?
Yeah.
And your memory of what happened at the hospital was very good in April of 2022, right?
As good as today?
Your memory in April of 2022 was very good, wasn't it?
It was very good as it is today.
Okay, so you want to add the as it is today, despite the fact that you weren't asked that question, is that right?
Objection.
Sustained.
All right. When questioned by Mr. Lally at the grand jury, you were asked the following question. So what, if any, interaction did you have with her, meaning Ms. Reed, at the hospital once you were there? You remember that question, right?
I do.
And your answer was, after that, I helped escort her down to, they call it the psych hallway, where they have rooms set up for psychiatric patients for their evaluation. And then she was unhappy that she wasn't able to see him, meaning John. And she kept trying to. She didn't want to get into a hospital Johnny. She didn't want to, I believe, give a urine sample. She was not, the nurses were asking her to do certain things that every patient has to do, and she was not cooperating with them. Do you remember that answer?
I do.
So 3 years ago, when you testified about this issue of giving a urine sample, you testified under oath that you believed that she didn't want to give a urine sample, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday, 3 years later, you testified with certainty that she didn't want to give them, right?
Yeah, she was giving them a hard time about having to give a urine sample.
Right. No, I'm asking you about your testimony yesterday in contrast to the grand jury, sir.
Okay.
To the extent that I ask yes or no question, I'd like yes or no answers.
So
okay?
no instructions to the witness, Ms. Giannetti.
Your Honor,
Ask
may
a
the witness be
question.
instructed to answer the question yes or no if it calls for a yes or no question.
Sir,
Answer.
Answer the question that's asked of you, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, ask a question.
You testified yesterday that she didn't want to give a urine sample without saying it was your belief that she didn't want to give one, correct?
Correct.
In any case, were you aware that when she was asked to give a urine sample, that Ms. Reed had gotten her period and did not have a tampon?
I was aware she was on her period, yes.
You're also aware that when somebody is brought to the hospital for a Section 12, they have no privacy. Isn't that right?
They have medical privacy. Either the tech or the nurse would be with the patient at all times.
Okay. With them at all times, observing them at all
correct.
times, correct?
So they wouldn't be, she wasn't in like a hallway open to the public.
Understood, sir. But she also, when I said privacy, what I was asking is, she was not allowed to go to the bathroom alone to give a urine sample, correct?
She was a psychiatric patient.
Right. So she would have to use the bathroom in front of hospital personnel or some medical personnel with people watching her while she was on her period with no tampon, correct?
I would understand that to be true.
All right. And you're
Dear
aware
God,
that she did
Yannetti,
cooperate
you
and
shouldn't
eventually
be the
give a blood
one
sample as well, correct?
doing this.
I'm not aware of a blood sample, but urine sample, yes.
She did give the urine sample.
Correct.
Now, in your testimony yesterday, of what Karen Reed may have asked you about John surviving in the snow with light clothing. You remember those questions? John surviving in the snow with light clothing. You remember those questions?
I remember asking about not having a jacket, correct?
Now, starting at the end of the day, when I cross-examined you yesterday, I asked you about that topic, and I said to you, you mentioned something about hypothermia, that you assumed you may have been dealing with a hypothermia situation, and your answer was, well, she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
But before I cross-examined you at the end of the day yesterday, you previously testified 3 times about this topic, correct?
I believe it would be the grand jury and the previous trial.
Right, and direct examination when Mr. Brennan was asking you questions before I stood up, correct?
Okay, yes.
Let's start with the first time you testified about this topic back in 2022. That was, again, less than 3 months after you had a conversation with Ms. Reed at the scene on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
Her statements and questions to you at the scene were fresh in your mind in April of 2022, correct?
Correct.
In April of 2022, before the grand jury, Mr. Lally asked you, quote, what, if any, questions did she ask you regarding hypothermia? Do you remember that question?
I do.
Your answer was, she was just wondering if he could have survived outside in the cold even though he didn't have a jacket on. Do you remember giving that answer?
I do.
Nowhere in that answer, in 2022, less than 3 months after these events, do you attribute the words, quote, many hours, end quote, in the snow to Ms. Reed, correct?
Yes, I was not.
I'm not asking for an explanation, sir. I'm asking for an answer.
All right, so he was answering you, Mr. Yannetti.
My question called for a yes or no answer. Nowhere in your
No,
answer in 2022.
your question,
do you
you
attribute
want
the
a
words
yes
many
or
hours
no,
in the snow
but
to
it's
Ms.
not
Reed? Yes or
required.
no?
There's only yes or no, dickhead.
No, I did not say that at that point.
Nowhere in your answer in 2022 do you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
She did.
Sir, I'm asking you about your testimony.
I object.
So let him answer the question.
Let me ask it again. Nowhere in your answer in 2022 did you testify that Ms. Reed told you he had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
In 2022, I testified that I was just told to be brief and give generalizations. She quantified many hours in the snow when we were back at the end.
Let me try this again,
So,
sir.
Mr. Yannetti, you're just saying 2022. Get to a
Of
date
course,
and a
yes.
place.
April of 2022, okay, before the grand jury. My question again, and I'm still seeking a yes or no answer from you, okay? Nowhere in your answer in April of 2022, before the grand jury, did you testify under oath that Ms. Reed told you that John had actually been in the snow for many hours, correct?
Not in 2022 of April, no.
Okay. The next
Maybe
time
because
you
nobody
testified
asked.
under oath was last year in 2024, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, Mr. Lally asked you, oh, by the way, so 2022 is no mention of many hours, right?
I did not, and I was told to be brief on the grand jury stand.
But again, no mention of
Correct.
many hours in 2022. Okay. Now, 2024, last year, Mr. Lally asked you, so Firefighter Whitley, at some point, specific to your conversations with the defendant, Ms. Reed, can you describe sort of her demeanor or any observations you made in relation to that as you were speaking with her? And your answer was, yes. She was very upset. She kept asking if there was any chance. She kept asking us if we knew if the person ambulance 1 had transported was alive or dead, and we could not speak to that. She asked if somebody could be alive in the snow without a jacket for many hours, correct?
Correct.
So 2022, there was no mention of many hours. 2024, over time, now that's the first time that you mention the words many hours in your testimony regarding this case, correct?
Correct.
All right? And when you testified last year, you testified still that she was asking you a question about surviving in the snow, correct?
Correct.
So then we come to yesterday on direct examination. Do you recall that Mr. Brennan yesterday asked you, before you left, were you having any conversations with the defendant, and you answered yes? You recall that yesterday?
Is that at the hospital?
I'm asking you yesterday, do you recall Mr. Brennan asking you, before you left essentially the scene, were you having any conversations with the defendant, and your answer was yes?
You're talking about Lee, I'm just trying to make sure we're talking about the same instance. Are we talking about when we left the hospital or when we left Fairview Road?
When you were at Fairview Road, leaving Fairview Road. We're talking about the same subject of what Ms. Reed supposedly told you or asked you. Okay? Mr. Brennan went into that with you.
So on the way to, you're talking on the way to the hospital in terms of left, when we left.
Well, before you left. He meant before you left the scene.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to clarify.
Again, the same conversation, Mr. Whitley. I'm not trying to trick you.
Mr. Yannetti, he just asked for a point of reference. It's clear. Now go.
Understood. And Mr. Brennan said, can you share with the jury what those conversations were about? And your answer was, so we were talking, she was upset. She kept asking if there was any chance her husband could be alive, even sitting outside in the snow without any coat for many hours. Do you recall that answer that you gave yesterday on direct examination?
Yes.
And that was the first time that you mentioned that she said, supposedly, or asked supposedly, about him sitting outside in the snow, correct?
I was just using phrases generally speaking. I wasn't at that point I was paraphrasing. I was not speaking verbatim to what she said.
Let's try that again. That was the first time that you mentioned that she claimed or asked that he was sitting outside, correct?
It could have been sitting, laying, being.
Let's try it a third time.
So just ask the question, not let's try it.
Sure.
Let's try it.
Was that the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed said or asked about him sitting outside?
Are you asking me to clarify whether she used the word sitting?
I'm not asking you to clarify anything. I'm asking you whether that was the first time yesterday during direct examination that you mentioned that she asked about him sitting outside.
I'm sorry, I am very confused because I'm trying to figure out if he was being outside, sitting outside.
I'm asking you about Ms. Reed's statements, sir. That's all I've been asking you about. Her statements to you and your testimony about her statements to you. Was yesterday on direct examination the first time that you testified under oath that Ms. Reed mentions the words sitting outside?
I don't know.
All right.
I'm just using, she might have said laying outside, being outside, outside.
Okay, so when you testified yesterday before this jury,
yes,
that she mentioned the words sitting outside, you're now saying that that might not have been accurate, correct?
It could have been a different word.
Okay, but you didn't say it could have been a different word yesterday. You just left it as sitting outside, correct?
Yeah, that's what I said, sitting.
All right, so now we get from, the grand jury with no many hours mentioned, to questions about many hours, to sitting outside, to
notice the new split screen. This was implemented by Court TV yesterday. Court TV is providing the pool coverage.
Your words were, she said he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours, correct?
She had asked if he had been outside.
So the word sitting's not there, dumbass.
There's any chance he could be alive, even though he was outside without a jacket for many hours.
So it always was a question, correct?
It was a question.
She never said what you said on cross-examination yesterday, which was she said that he had been out in the snow without a jacket on for many hours. That was not a declarative statement by Ms. Reed, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Was that a declarative statement by Ms. Reed?
She asked if he could be alive without a jacket in the snow for many hours.
So again, it was a question, sir.
She asked me, and we were just trying to give her hope in terms of telling stories of hypothermic patients that could survive outside in the snow.
Okay, is there any redirect?
Briefly.
Okay.
When you were called to the grand jury, was the testimony as in-depth and as long as it is in front of this jury?
No, not even close.
When you're recounting your memories of what happened, do you memorize word for word what you've said in the past?
Objection.
As to that form, it's sustained.
When you're recounting the past, do you record your statements personally?
Objection.
I'm going to let that one. Do you record your statements?
No.
Next question.
When you testified in the grand jury, page 90, line 15, and you said the defendant told you, "I'm upset if he dies, I want to die." And then you later testify last year, and you said, "If my husband dies, I want to die." Do you notice the little differences between those phrases?
I do.
Is that you making up words?
No.
Is that you trying to help a case?
Objection.
As to form, that's sustained.
Are you inventing facts?
No.
Sir, when you were recounting what happened that day, are you using your best memory?
Objection.
Sustained.
When you were asked by the defendant, about how long, or someone out in the snow without a jacket for many hours, do you remember that conversation with her?
I do.
Where were you during that conversation?
We were in the back of the ambulance.
Do you remember it distinctly?
I remember it distinctly. She was looking at me.
When you tried to give her hope and comfort, and you told her stories about other situations where people, maybe children, have fallen through the ice and had hypothermia, did you have that conversation with her in trying to comfort her?
I did.
Do you remember that conversation?
I do.
Did you necessarily share those conversations with the grand jury?
I don't recall if I did or I didn't.
Did you ever write that in your report?
No.
Is that something you typically put everything in your report?
No, we do not write. But generally, we only write patient complaint, what happened, what they did, not their opinions or anything like that to what's going on.
Do you have any interest in the outcome of this case?
I do not.
How long have you been a firefighter for?
Since March of 2006, and an EMT since November of 2002.
Over 20 years.
Correct.
You said that you live near Kerry Roberts?
I do.
You've been to a block party for the kids where you've brought the fire engine down?
I do.
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
When you're at that block party, do you ever step out and have secret meetings with Kerry Roberts trying to corroborate some conspiracy on their behalf?
No. No.
Put your career on the line?
Objection.
Sustained.
No further questions.
Any follow-up, Ms. Giannetti?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Firefighter Whitley, you are all set.
Thank you.
Oh, the defense doesn't like when the prosecutor asks those questions, does they? Do they?
No, they don't. I mean, this hyper-aggressiveness, if I were on the jury, I'd be turned off. This is just stupid.
Yeah, I would think that would fall under the category of badgering a witness, but
I do too. That's what I can go. I go, how is this not badgering?
And his mother leans over the kitchen island and says to me, "I think it looks like you got hit by a car. It looks like you got hit by a car."
I like
All right,
this
who's
new
your next
Karen
witness,
Cam.
Mr. Brennan?
Next witness is Jean DeMoulis.
although Karen's
Okay.
It's off center right now, so
yeah.
It looks like they're sidebarring.
Sidebar. Sidebar.
Karen's not going up to the sidebar today. Oh.
Well, they're talking about something, but it looks like there's a sidebar or something going on. I'm gonna give it.
We're counting it. We're counting it because I got lots of sidebars to get rid of.
I told you those lemon zest sidebars weren't gonna play well.
Okay, you know what? I tried. Okay, it was a new recipe. It seemed good on TikTok.
So, welcome to the Pope Phil Sidebar Emporium, where we're having a fire sale on sidebars.
And the lemon
That's
zest
right.
sidebars. And the lemon zest sidebars.
Just have your Pepto-Bismol handy. Because I was up all night after eating those sidebars. Just saying. Just saying.
I forget about your delicate tummy.
A delicate tummy. That would not would go well in my delicate tummy right now. A sausage McMuffin from McDonald's would go well in my delicate tummy.
Oh, I had a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich for breakfast.
See, I don't do the fast food egg. I don't like it.
I didn't do fast food. I cooked it
Well,
in
you know what
my
I
kitchen.
mean. I'm talking when I'm doing the sausage McMuffin, I take the egg off.
Because you're a weirdo.
Close to the microphone, thanks.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Jean Demulis. I am the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton.
I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up, if you would, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
You
They've
said you're
got
the
the
general
wrong name on
manager
the screen
at CF
right now.
McCarthy's?
In Canton, yes.
Thank you. How long have you been the general manager at CF McCarthy's in Canton for?
For 6 years.
Can you briefly describe for the jury what CF McCarthy's is?
It is a restaurant and bar.
At CF McCarthy's, is
Bar.
there a video surveillance system inside?
Yes.
Who owns that video surveillance system?
Back up.
CF McCarthy's.
Are you familiar with the video system?
Yes.
Have you ever looked at it before?
Yes.
Do you employ people to help the establishment with the video system?
No.
You maintain it on your own?
Yes.
At some point were you visited by somebody from the Massachusetts State Police?
Yes.
Were you asked whether or not they could view some of your video surveillance?
Yes.
Do you remember the date? Not the date they came to visit you, the date that they were looking for.
I believe it was January 28th, 27th, 28th of 2022.
Around that time?
Yes.
Did you allow access to the video system?
Yes.
Did you oversee that access to the video system?
Yes.
Was it a state police officer?
It was two state police detectives.
Do you remember their names?
I remember one of the detectives' names. I do not remember the other detective.
The one you remember, could you share the name?
It was Detective Buchnick, Yuri.
Detective Yuri Buchnick.
Yes.
At some point, was he allowed to download information from the surveillance system?
Yes.
Did you watch him do that?
Yes, I did.
At some point, have you been able to briefly look at some of that download?
Yes.
And does it appear to be a fair and accurate depiction of the surveillance or the area of your bar?
Yes.
Move to introduce.
Okay, there's no objection, Ms. Giannetti?
There is no objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 18, so marked.
Thank you.
Your Honor, may I play just a small portion?
Sure.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you just some random shots from this video, but I want to know if you recognize it. Is this the inside of CF McCarthy's?
Yes.
I'm not asking if you have any particular knowledge or information about that now.
It looks like-
I want to know
yes.
if is this a fair and accurate depiction of what CF McCarthy's looks like?
Yes.
Has there been any substantive, significant changes to the inside of that establishment
No.
since this video was taken?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Gilman. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay.
I have no questions.
All right, Mr. Lewis, you're all set.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Stepping down.
No, that comes.
Your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. Bridget Meehan.
morning. Good morning.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now and hearing to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Good morning. Good morning.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you introduce yourself to the jury, please?
My name is Bridget Meehan.
Where do you work?
I work at the Waterfall Bar and Grill in Canton.
The name maybe tells us a little bit about it, but could you just share a couple lines of what the Waterfall Bar and Grill is?
It's a small family-owned business in Canton. It's in a mixed condo complex.
Are you involved in the ownership of it?
Yes.
How long have you been involved with the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
We've been there approximately 10 years.
Do you help run the establishment?
Yes, I do.
And you were running the establishment back on January 28, 2022? Yes. At some point, were you asked or visited to see if your establishment had video surveillance of the inside?
I was.
Does your establishment have video surveillance of the inside?
It does.
Do you have a camera and a server?
Do I have? Yes, I do.
Okay. Did you provide video surveillance to the Massachusetts State Police from that night, January 28, 2022?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'd like to move this in as an exhibit, please.
Okay. Ms. Giannetti?
No objection.
Thank you.
Exhibit 22.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm going to show you just a brief clip.
Pope, add
Okay, stop,
5
please.
more
Do
days
you
and
see
a
that
$25
video?
donation.
Does that depict the
Okey dokey.
inside of McCarthy's?
796 days.
Waterfall?
And thank you to the anonymous donor.
Back on January 28, 2022, does that look the way it looked then?
Yes.
Has there been any significant changes inside since then?
No.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. All right, Ms. Meehan, you
Thank you.
We're getting really close to 800.
Wait, what's 3 years?
4 more to get 800. 4 more.
All right,
Yep.
your next witness, Mr. Brennan.
Commonwealth calls Mike Camerano.
$1,095.
Come on, can I follow me?
So we got a new goal.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case now and hearing to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
We've got a whole month to go, so.
Good morning.
May I?
Please.
Good
Thank
morning,
you,
sir.
Bear.
Good morning.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, good morning. My name is Michael Camerano.
Mr. Camerano, can I ask how old you are? I'm sorry.
Spell your last name.
Camerano.
And we are 12
And so
away
if you
from
could either move the
6,000
microphone down a little
subscribers.
bit
12
or
away.
speak up, or maybe a
12
combination of both,
away.
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask you how old you are?
48,
Where do you live?
Canton, Mass.
How long have you lived in Canton for?
Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. Me and my wife have lived there for 20 years. We have 2 children.
How old are your children, sir?
My daughter is 17. My son is 14.
Did you know John O'Keefe?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I met John for the first time at his sister's, they had a benefit for his sister in 2000, I think 13. I met John there for the first time. And then years later, our kids got involved with sports together and they became very close. As they became close, I became very close with John and his family.
Was your daughter close with John's niece?
Yes.
Was your son close with?
Yes.
Did you spend a lot of time together through sports and socially?
Yes, we did.
I want to take you forward to January 28th of 2022.
Okay.
Do you remember that day? On that day?
Yes.
Did you have a plan?
Yes, we were communicating.
At some point, did you decide that you were going to spend some time or go meet John?
Yes. That Friday, my daughter and his daughter, they got acceptance letters to school. So we wanted to get them together so they could enjoy the time together. And, just, go over like how it'll be so much fun, something new and different. Yeah, so we were going to meet up after I got out of work.
Was your daughter planning to go to a new school?
Yes.
Where?
Bishop Fan.
And how about his niece?
Same.
They both. Did you have a plan to bring the children together so they could celebrate?
Yes, we did.
And then separately you were going to meet John and celebrate?
Correct.
Okay. Where did you drop your daughter off?
I dropped my daughter off at John. I went into John's. I was at the house with John and the girls, and we had a little celebration. Talked about how nice it's going to be, fun, change, different, meet new people.
And you celebrated at John's house before you went out?
Correct.
After the celebration with your children, did you and John leave?
Yes.
During that celebration, was there anybody there other than you, John, and your two daughters?
No. No. Karen was not there.
Was there anybody else there?
No, just the two girls, myself and John.
What was the weather like that night?
It was cold. It was not snowing yet.
Was there an expectation?
Yes, there was an expectation. Yes.
And what was that?
That there was going to be a big snowstorm coming in.
A storm was coming?
Yes.
When you left, did you leave in a separate car than John, or did you leave together?
No, we left together. John got in my car, and we were leaving. We were going to leave.
Where were the girls?
The girls were in the house, stayed in the house.
They were staying at John's house?
Yes, correct.
Where did you go?
We went to C.F. McCarthy's.
When you got there, did you know anybody who was there other than you and John?
At that time, no.
Did you spend time at C.F. McCarthy's?
Yes.
Were you drinking?
Yes.
Was John drinking?
Yes.
Alcohol?
Yes.
How long were you there for?
A couple hours.
While you were there, did anybody come and meet you that you knew?
Yes.
Who?
A friend, and then Karen came in.
The friend?
Yes.
What was the friend's name?
Kurt.
And then, how long after you first got there was it that the defendant arrived?
I would like to say within an hour, so not 100% sure.
You said back home it was a celebratory mood. Was it still a celebratory mood at McCarthy's?
Yes.
When the defendant arrived, did she spend time with you and John?
I've talked briefly to her, and her and John were mostly talking.
Okay. You didn't see any issues?
No.
Okay. It was a normal night?
Seemed to be, yes.
As far as you could see?
Yes.
And you saw John drinking?
Yes.
Did you see the defendant drinking?
I saw her with a glass, yes.
Okay. Did you leave at the same time that John left?
No, I did not.
When you left, was John still at the establishment?
Yes.
When you left, was the defendant still with him?
Yes.
Why did you leave?
I left because I got a phone call. My son was playing hockey in a backyard, and he got hit with a stick and lost his tooth.
Oh. Where did you go?
I went to my son's friend's house.
Do you know about what time that was when you went to see your son?
I would like to say 9:30, between 9:30 and 10.
You didn't go back to McCarthy's that night, did you?
No, I did not.
After you helped your son, where did you go next?
I went to pick up my daughter Madeline
Did you go?
at John's house.
Did you go in John's house?
No, I did not.
When you got to John's house, did your daughter come out?
No. We went to the side door
Okay.
and rang the doorbell.
And then what happened?
And then my daughter came to the door.
Where'd you go?
From there, we left and went home.
When you went home, had the weather changed at all?
It was cool. It might have been flurrying at that time.
No accumulation?
No.
You got home?
Yes.
Did you do anything significant when you got home?
Put the kids to bed, my son, and no, I went to bed.
What's the next thing you remember happening?
Waking up to, I missed some phone calls
Who were the missed phone calls from?
from my wife and Karen.
What did you do?
I called my wife.
After speaking to your wife, what did you do?
I got in my car and drove to John's house.
About what time was this?
In between maybe 5 and 6 a.m.
What was your mood at that point?
I was panicked
Why did you go to John's house?
because I went to get Kaylee.
Did you know if she was alone?
Yes,
How long did it take you to get to John's house?
maybe 5-7 minutes.
When you get to John's house, what do you see?
I pull in the driveway. I see that the garage door is open. I go in through the garage door. I don't know if Kaylee was standing there, if the door, she came out the door, and I asked her, if she needed anything, she could get in my car and stay warm.
When you first saw Kaylee, what did she look like?
She looked distraught.
Did you try to help her?
Well, I think I just said everything will be okay. Yeah.
Did she come with you?
Yes.
Where are you going?
To my house.
So what happens?
So we go to my house, and my daughter's up, and the two girls they were hanging downstairs, just hanging out, just being kids. And then, I don't know, a couple hours later, maybe, Paul called me and asked me to bring Kaylee home.
Did you know anything at that point?
I did, yes.
You did or didn't?
At that point, I did when Paul had told me.
So what do you do?
This Karen Cam is
Asked
so
Madeline and
damning.
Kaylee if
She doesn't give a
come
shit.
for the ride.
She's literally
I don't say
writing
anything to
emails
Kaylee,
and just
we get
paying
in the
no
car
attention
and
whatsoever.
I start
Yeah.
going back to John's house.
This is
And
some
the fact that
difficult-
Karen left
No, I didn't. I just
Kaylee,
said everything will
was
be
that
all
her
right.
name?
She
Yeah.
had a feeling.
leaving her there by
Why
herself
did you
while
say that?
she's going off.
She don't want to go home.
I mean, no expression, no
happens next?
emotion, nothing. She doesn't care.
So I pull in the driveway, and I remember Paul and Papa standing. I think they were standing at the side door, and we just.
And Griffey, I left you a little
embraced.
present over on my Discord server.
Did you stay?
No, not long. No,
Did you go back?
I was to the house. I went back to my house.
Did you go back to John's house?
I did the next day. Yes, I was there.
When you went back, were there people there?
Yes,
Many?
there was people coming and going.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Camerano.
Good morning.
This is quite painful for you to remember the events of January 28th, is it not?
Yes.
You were very close with your friend John O'Keefe, correct?
I was close with him, yes.
And you actually met Karen Reed through John, correct?
Correct.
After meeting Karen, you spent a good amount of time with both Karen and John, correct?
Correct.
As of January 28th of 2022, you had known Karen for maybe about a year or so?
Sounds correct.
And you'd see them especially on Fridays, correct?
Correct.
That would be sort of the day that you get together with both of them often?
Yes.
And of course, your children spent a lot of time with John and Karen, right?
Correct.
You entrusted both Karen and John with your kids.
Yes.
Sometimes your kids would even go on vacation with Karen and John, right?
They did go to the Cape, yes.
Sometimes you'd see Karen without John at your house or on a ball field.
Correct.
And your daughter in particular would sometimes spend time with just Karen without John, correct?
Correct.
Your daughter would sometimes go over to Karen's house in Mansfield when she lived there, correct?
Correct.
And obviously when your daughter would go to Karen's house in Mansfield, Karen would be the one in charge of caring for her, correct?
Correct.
And you were fine with that because you liked and you trusted Karen, right?
Correct.
And in your view, Karen was very good with kids, right?
Correct.
But you also had the opportunity to see Karen and John together, right?
Yes.
You saw how they interacted with each other over that year period that you knew Karen?
Yes.
You saw how they got along?
Yes.
And you never observed any arguments or bickering, correct?
I mean, they argued and bickered.
You had previously testified that you wouldn't even call it arguing, you just call it banter, right?
Yes, I mean, he would, he would get upset or like over if she bought expensive things for the kids.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. We will get to that. That would be the one thing that John would complain about, Karen buying like very nice things for his niece and nephew, right?
Correct.
Or he'd complain if Karen was taking his niece and other girls to get their nails done, like extravagances like that.
Correct.
And one specific memory you have is when Karen bought his niece a very expensive sweater, right?
Correct.
And you recall John telling you that he wished that she hadn't done that because he considered that to be spoiling the girl, correct?
Yes.
But it was very clear to you from your observations that Karen really, really liked John. I'm sorry, John really, really liked Karen, right?
Sustained.
He certainly never told you or even suggested he was thinking about or planning to break up with Karen, right?
No.
Okay, so with regard to that Friday night, January 28th, sir, the plan was for you and John to go to McCarthy's to have some drinks because there was a storm coming in, correct? And because of the celebration of the girls getting into Bishop Fen?
Well, yeah, we were going out. It wasn't a continuation of the celebration of the girls. We were going out to have a few beers as guys.
Okay. And when you were leaving the house, John asked you to move your car, right?
Correct.
Where was your car when John asked you to move it that night?
I backed up my car. We were leaving the driveway, and John asked me to stop so he could move his car.
I see. And he wanted you to move your car because of the storm coming in, and he wanted Karen to be able to pull her car into the garage, right?
Correct.
And that was really thoughtful of him, wasn't it?
Yes, extremely.
And it showed you that he was being chivalrous toward Karen that night, right?
Yes.
He didn't want Karen to be out in the heavy snow later when she returned to his house during the expected blizzard, right?
Sustained.
You took from that there was an expectation that Karen would be coming back to his house, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
You had no inkling that day that anything was wrong between Karen and John, correct?
No.
Everything seemed fine between the two of them, right?
Yes, he did mention though that night that he didn't understand why Karen had a plumber go to the house.
Because he had somebody that could have done that work instead of paying for the plumber, right?
Well, yes.
Okay.
And
But in any case, the plan was for Karen to meet up with the two of you, right?
yes.
And she did show up to McCarthy's
And that he's
at about 8:30
testifying
p.m. or so?
Yep.
Yes, I guess if that's the time.
And you saw an affectionate...
I'm sorry, what was the answer that you
If
said?
that was the time, I'm not sure about the timeline.
Okay. It was sometime after you'd
Yes.
gotten there. Right.
Correct.
But you do remember when Karen arrived, there was an affectionate greeting between John and Karen, right?
Yes.
You saw them kiss, right?
Yes.
You saw John put his arm around Karen,
Correct.
and you saw that Karen sort of nestled into his embrace.
Correct.
And when she did that,
She
that's when you kissed
nuzzled
her,
his
correct?
neck.
Yes.
But did she do it in a
And they
snarky
seemed
manner?
happy to see each other, did they not?
They did.
That night they were affectionate,
Pope does it in a snarky manner.
Yes.
Every
I do.
time.
I
Yes.
do.
happy,
Yes.
like a normal couple.
Yes.
No arguments.
No.
You witnessed no bickering, no tension, correct?
No.
And during the month before John's passing, that January of 2022, you observed their relationship in your presence to be normal, caring, and affectionate, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
You were asked a number of questions about the relationship between John and Karen that night. Do you know what was going on behind closed doors other than what you saw?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
Do you know whether or not they texted each other that day?
No. That day, no.
Do you know whether or not there was any arguments that day?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Not to my. No. I don't know if they were. Well, I don't know if they were arguing over the plumber situation. I
Do you
don't
know
know.
if there's any vulgarities that day?
No.
Do you know if there's any vulgarities that night?
No, not to my knowledge.
Do you know whether or not John was trying to end the relationship with Miss Reed?
Objection.
Do you know that, sir?
No.
Next question.
Do you know if there was any jealousy in that relationship?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I mean, I mean, Karen wouldn't let, I mean, they did everything together, a lot of things together, and I thought at times, yeah, you could see, you know, she didn't want other women around John. I don't know, not at that, but.
Thank you.
Any follow-up?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Cameron, are you all set, sir?
So I'll just get them down, please.
I'll see counsel at sidebar for just a minute, please.
Sidebar. You know, the lemon twist didn't go well. I'm going to try. I have a new spice. It's a orange pepper. It's like a lemon pepper, but with orange. We'll try the orange pepper.
An orange pepper.
An orange pepper, yes, very delicious.
Orange pepper.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Karen Reed went up on this sidebar. I do not want to know what's on our sidebar here. Something. Okay, things we can't say on the air. So let's just skip that.
Something.
There's things we can't say on the air. Hold my
Yes,
beer.
there are. Yes, there are.
Much like Homer Simpson, I think things I would never say.
We are, in fact, actually, I am, in fact, doing new screen captures to use with the thumbnails of these broadcasts. I am currently doing a series with Turtle Boy and Karen Reed in a bar. So that's what's giving Griffey nightmares. We're about to post the next 10 in a few minutes. I have to do 25 of each character, so we've done 10 of each character so far, so about almost halfway there. And yes, Karen Reed will steal your soul. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
These ones are a little better because she's not in her devil outfit. Now, see, I don't like this because they're off-center on Officer Family. Or Sergeant Family.
It's Lieutenant Fan.
Sorry, Lieutenant Fan.
He's been promoted.
That's right.
Lieutenant Fan. Lieutenant Fan.
Lieutenant Fan. Okay. I'll get it down one of these days.
The question
hopefully
is,
in time for
going on.
Hopefully in time for the third trial.
Will we be back next year at this time?
Yes, we will.
It's so much easier in the morning now that we've done shows for a year. You know, I've got everything down pat that we need. The only thing I forget is sometimes I forget to send out the link, like I did last night to our recap show. But, yeah. Last year we were flying by the seat of our pants. We also weren't monetized, so we were doing things that we could get away with back then.
We had some little stress going on last year about this thing.
Yeah. We will take that on a little bit closer for our, I believe it's the 12th of May, which is our Independence Day.
Please.
I'm going to recall Nick Garino.
Okay.
Parliament, please.
Sure, you can have a seat. I'll remind you you're still in your room.
Or stand, however you're most comfortable today. Just do whatever you need to do, okay?
Thank you, Darren. Morning, everyone.
Sir, yesterday we
let's just
talked
get through
about
it.
downloading phones and making what you called extractions.
Yes.
And from that data, you could create different types of reports.
So have Detective Garino say his name again, please.
I'm sorry. Again, for the record, could you introduce yourself to the jury and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Nicholas Garino, Guarino.
Thank you.
Sir, you mentioned yesterday that you downloaded a number of phones, or you were involved in the process of downloading a number of phones.
That's correct.
You explained to us that after you have the data analyze, you can pinpoint certain items that you may want to put in a document.
Yes, so the extractions into a program of our choosing, Cellbrite is the most commonly used, and then we can take call logs or text messages, any information that the investigator is looking for.
When you downloaded Mr. O'Keefe's phone and you downloaded the defendant's phone, did you try to create, or did you create a report through Cellbrite, the software, that would show you all of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs?
Yes, I did.
And when I use the term call logs, what does that mean?
The call logs are the calls that the phone receives.
How do you create a report from Cellbrite? Can you just walk us through that process briefly?
Yep, so in the program, you can go in and select the calls from it and export it into different formats, PDF, XML, HTML, or you can create a portable case and extract them all as a portable case that we would see on my computer.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you a document of Mr. O'Keefe's call logs. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is it?
It is the call logs. Just want to make sure it's between John O'Keefe and the defendant from, just want to see the dates, the 28th, January 28th, 2022 to January 29th, 2022.
Would this contain all the phone calls from his phone data for the calls between those two parties that night?
Yes, that's what I created.
Thank you. I'd like to move this as an exhibit, please.
Okay. So,
If I could, Your Honor, just want to compare to make sure we got the same.
okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan. Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Content.
Okay.
No objection.
You captured all of the phone calls between two parties on that last document. Can you also do that with chats?
Yes, that is true.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a document of chats between the phones of the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe for after midnight, for the evening hours of January 29th, 2002?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
We're gonna let it all hang out.
It's all hanging out before midnight. Does that make a difference?
You recognize that document, sir?
Not according to Eric Clapton.
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us what that is?
These are the texts from the defendant to John O'Keefe. Yes.
For January 29th, 2022?
Yes, that's correct. So I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'd move this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibit 24.
Did you identify or specify chat messages between John O'Keefe and a person named Jen McCabe?
Yes, I did.
Did you create a Cellbrite report?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can we have just a brief moment, please?
It's sidebar?
No.
Just the two?
Compare them.
That?
Yes, go ahead.
Would this be a sidebar?
This would be the one that was dropped on the ground, but we picked it up within 5 seconds, so it's good.
And selling it for twice the price.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, any of the documents you recognize it?
This is the text messages between John O'Keefe and Jen McCabe on January 29th, 2022.
And this is through a search of Cellbrite where you match their data and pull up all of their conversations?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. I move to introduce this, please, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
25.
All the objections.
I want them all. The world is mine.
Similarly to the chats, did you do the
The
same
world.
with calls between Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. McCabe?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
There was a subset
Good morning,
that
Gia.
on Law Talk with Mike that objected, and the judge says, "What's your objection?" And she goes, "All the objections."
Showing you a document, sir. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, this is the call log between John O'Keefe and Jen McCabe for, just want to make sure I get all the dates correct, just for January 29th, 2022.
I think this is good evidence, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 26.
Did you do a file extraction and a report on all chats between the phones of John O'Keefe and the defendant for a period of time?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you a document. Do you recognize that document? Handing you a document.
Yes, this is the text messages between, yes, this is the text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant from January 28th to January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. Your Honor, move this into evidence.
Okay. Mr. Lessie?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
27.
Did you have an opportunity to make a report from some of the data from the defendant's phone from January 29, 2022?
What are you referring? I did make some reports from the defendant's phone.
What's a call log report?
Again, the call log report is the calls that the party makes to another phone, so it's going to show everyone they've called or attempted to call.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury what it is?
It's the call log from the defendant's phone for January 29th, 2022. It looks like everyone's she called.
Introduce this as an exhibit, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibit 28.
What we just introduced into evidence is the entire call log of calls to anybody and everybody to and from for that period of time.
Yes.
That's fair to say?
Yes, that's correct.
And then can you further isolate calls between just two parties?
Yes, you can. You can search by phone number or name.
And did you do that with the defendant's records for some parties?
Yes, I did.
Did you isolate phone calls between the defendant and Ms. McCabe for the evening of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Guys, take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's the phone calls from the defendant and Jennifer McCabe, January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Exhibit 29.
Did you isolate calls between the defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29, 22?
Yes, I did.
Can I see the last exhibit, please? Thank you, sir. I asked you to take a look at that document. Do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
Could you share with the jury what it is?
Yep. It's the call logs between the defendant and Carrie Roberts for January 29th, 2022. Yes.
And that's a report you created?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, listen to evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Exhibit 30.
Did you have an opportunity to isolate and produce a report for all chats between the defendant and Ms. Roberts for the night of January 29, 2022?
Yes, I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
So I'm handing you a document. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And could you share with the jury what that is?
This is text messages between the defendant and Carrie Roberts on January 29th, 2022.
Thank you. I would move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Jurors, this is the way we have to put evidence in cases in Massachusetts, okay?
Exhibit 31.
Sir, do you have an opportunity to identify a text message or a chat between the defendant and a person by the name of Ingrid on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Ingrid.
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Ingrid Pumpernickel.
Which is an acquaintance of John Jane Jingleheimer Schmidt.
His name is my name, too.
Sir, take a look at this document. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
Could you tell the jury what that is?
Yes, this is a text conversation between the defendant and looks like a group chat between Ingrid Curtis and Bill Curtis.
So did you make that report?
Yes, and this is on January 29, 2022.
Thank you. And move this into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Exhibit 32.
Ricky, I can neither confirm nor deny I have been
If
confirmed.
this is a good time, if the honor would permit.
Okay. Jurors, what we're going to do is we will take our morning recess now, and we'll take 20 minutes to half an hour. We'll see you then.
And no dodgeball out in the courtyard.
Okay, since they're taking a break, we're going to take a break. We're going to play a little bit of music for at least 3 minutes of music. So if you need to use the bathroom, do get up, stretch, do what you can. We've got a huge selection of music now inside chat here, or inside in our music library, that is. I think we're going to play the one that you liked yesterday that I actually screwed up. Scarlet Solo, Revolution. And we'll be back with you in about 3 minutes.
Revolution!
Barely breathing, don't let go. Hear the whispers, listen close. I know you've never strayed from the fold, but that's how freedom begins. Bended knees and broken bones, a bleeding heart never bleeds alone. I am one of many cries. We are far from the ashes. Rise up, break the cage, be the lion, be the storm, be the strike of the lightning. Rise with the dawn, rage like the sun. This is what we came for. Revolution. Burn your bridges, make your choice. Fight your demons, raise your voice. They're only silent if we're making noise. So let the battle begin. Bended knees and broken bones, a bleeding heart never bleeds alone. I am one of many cries. We are far from the ashes. Rise up, break the cage, be the lion, be the storm, be the strike of the lightning. Rise with the dawn, rage like the sun. This is what we came for. Revolution. Rise up, break the cage, be the lion, be the storm, be the strike of the lightning. Rise with the dawn, rage like the sun. This is what we came for. Revolution. Rise up, break the cage, be the lion, be the storm, be the strike of the lightning. Rise with the dawn, rage like the sun. This is what we came for. Revolution.
Whoops, before she starts over. I gotta get one more in as I just started cooking something. So let's try an oldie but goodie. We used to play this all the time last year.
Kids fill up the hall.
And we're back. That was Half Measure with 1982. So how's everybody's day going, folks?
So far, so good.
Fantastic.
Mine just kind of sucked because we're out of bagels. I was running to get a bagel.
Oh,
there's none in there. I tore the kitchen apart looking for bagels.
Well, somebody's taking it better because she's got a new bed.
Aw. Look at that. Let's put her on screen. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. The runny.
I'm not looking at you, therefore you're not filming me.
That's right.
Okay.
Hold on one sec. Phil, take over for a second. I'm getting a phone call.
Oh, okay. Well, how's Chief, Hank?
what was that? I had a phone call.
How's Chief?
Spoiled rotten like he's supposed to be.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So's the people, Roddy.
Right now, Chief is scratching one of his itches, and he's getting it good enough that he's got his leg going.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Hank and I have the same ringtone. I went running for my phone. It was Hank's. Bastard. But my phone is literally was at the end of the hall. I had to go run to get it.
Your phone was still searching for bagels?
Yes, I put it down at the end of the hall when I went out there. Good Lord.
And your
Hank.
phone hasn't found any bagels either.
It has not, in fact, found any bagels. They're actually, on a personal note, they're going to pick up my dad's ashes today. So that's where my mom is right now.
Okay.
I don't know when the interment is. We're not going to have a real funeral since most of his family is either gone or living in other parts of the country. He's going to be interned privately, and then my mom's got a spot next to him when she finally passes. Not finally passes, but when she passes.
No, I got you.
I'm going to hear about it for that one. When his mom finally dies, he's going to get rid of her.
My mom was an amateur artist.
Yeah.
And so she would do paintings and stuff. And for the longest time, I kept telling her, I need a painting. So when you die, it'll be worth more.
Right.
And she wouldn't ever do it for me because she was afraid I was going to offer to increase the value of the painting. But she eventually did. She eventually did do me a painting. And she's still alive. So.
Okay. For now. Until you want her to be famous, and then
Right.
Good Lord. It's been one of those days so far. We were up at 1:30 a.m. waiting for these stupid Chile documents to come through, which have not as of yet. The court has not opened there, so you have two chances with the California Superior Court system for things to file. Sometimes it happens at midnight their time, 3 a.m. Eastern. The system will kind of catch up and put all the documents that were on hold out there. But if that doesn't happen, your next chance is at 8 o'clock Pacific or 11 o'clock on the East Coast, which is coming right up. We are waiting for Chile documents, which are in response to Blue Bacon's attorney saying, hey, not so fast, you can't dismiss the case. He was about to lose the damn thing. He can't just dismiss it right now, and if he does, it has to be with prejudice, because in California, they have safeguards against when you're about to lose, you just dismiss the case.
Right.
And when that happens, under California law, you tend to get a dismissed with prejudice.
Which is how it should be.
Right. Because if you're dumping the damn case because you're about to lose, you shouldn't have the ability to start over from scratch. Hit the big reset button.
Especially when you advertise to everybody that you're going to do that just to keep making people have to pay out money to defend themselves.
He advertised it in a court document in this case.
Right.
He literally said, if I don't get a ruling in my favor, I'm just going to file it again until I find a court that will rule in my favor. I'm going to just keep doing this. So, yeah.
I think, more power to him, because eventually he's going to be labeled a vexatious litigant on the federal level.
Well, seeing that that's the same thing he's doing with the Ironton lawsuit, which he still hasn't responded to, even though he got his extension. The other thing is, we are assuming that he fired his attorney. I'm assuming that the attorney didn't quit because Chili's out of money. Chili is literally out of money these days. And he is putting everything into whatever the hell he's doing outside of not doing his board game. That's for one. He's spending quite a bit of time on Twitter lately, just having fights with everybody. So
I think Chili's bored with his game.
It sounds like it, yes. Because he's not doing anything else. Seriously, he's got this new project where he says he'll get you out of jail with his app. And it's like, okay, what's it called? I don't know. When's it launching? I don't know. How is it going to handle all 50 states? I don't know. Is it a ripoff of Attorney Shield? I don't know.
Yes.
It's going to get you out of jail.
Yes. It's called the Get Out of Jail Free app.
Are they going to call it fairy dust?
Why? Because it's imaginary?
It's imaginary magic potions to protect you?
Parson says Parson Shield. He's stealing the Parson Shield idea.
Oh, no. Sue him. Sue him, Parson. Sue him.
Stealing the Parson Shield.
Sue him for at least a dozen puffy jackets.
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Poor Parson. Yeah, so Chili has these documents coming in. We'll get them. Also, the minute order, if there was a hearing. We still don't know if the hearings actually took place, because the case has technically had a dismissal from the court clerk. So it hasn't had an official dismissal yet. So I don't see the judge making it go away, but he could have delayed yesterday's hearing. We just don't have a straight answer on that yet, because, of course, the court has not updated anything within the system.
Hate when that happens.
We also are looking forward to the afternoon break today. We'll be playing this morning's newscast. The newscast did go out at 8 o'clock this morning on the East Coast. It goes about 21 minutes, and it features pants and all pants and nothing but pants. So if you love your pants...
All the pants glory.
Yes. You get nothing but 2 days worth of news of pants. So we'll do that, and then we'll do some Drunk Girl during that hour coming up this afternoon. Remember, tomorrow is a half day in the case.
So we're going to start calling these the inseam reports.
And Shuggy, it's not a sidebar, it's the morning break. Everyone's getting snacks and food.
No Jaffa cakes.
No Jaffa cakes. At least that we know of. Tomatoes, right here on this channel. Right here on this channel. You get 21 minutes of hints. We'll either play it or you can go to our main URL on YouTube, which is ReallyCoolNews, and play it while you're waiting for this case to come back. We released it early this morning, and we're going to try to be releasing the newscasts every morning about 8 o'clock to give you something to start your day with, to get you into the mood to come watch us at 8:55 a.m. Eastern, 7:55 where it counts, 6:55 in Mountain Time, and 5:55 a.m. on the left coast. And again, they're in morning break today. We're just.
Why are they sad?
Who's sad?
You said they are in morning.
It is the morning break. Meanwhile, we've got some more disturbing renders over up on my Jim's disturbing render area on my Discord server. They're all dedicated to Griffey, and these ones feature Karen Reed and Turtle Boy at a bar with some other distinguished celebrities. There's a demon there with them, and there's also a man from Long Island. Man from Long Island. And the idea is we're going to populate this bar. Go ahead.
Is he akin to the man from Nantucket?
No, because he's much smaller yeah. I don't think it rhymes, though. But the idea is we're going to be populating this bar with a cast of characters from the auditing world, and eventually there'll be like 6 or 7 characters interacting. It started slowly, but we're going to get there. I finally got set up.
Gaining ground.
Gaining ground. Right now, Karen Reed, the character, is about to beat the crap out of the bartender and Turtle Boy.
Ooh.
Who got in between Karen and her vodka?
Apparently Turtle Boy, because there is some very angry faces going on as Turtle Boy is turning into Renfield from the Dracula series.
Ooh.
Hunched over and fearful of his life, probably eating flies. I do see some drama going on inside chat, which we're not going to get into. But yeah. As far as today, the disputed clip from yesterday was allowed to be seen earlier. We've had a series of bar-related witnesses so far. Two people who worked at the bars were on for like a minute each, just to confirm that the layout of the bars were the same after 2 years, or 3 years now, sorry.
Why does it matter if it's still the same now as it was then?
I think it has... I think it has to do with they're going to be playing the videos. So...
Yeah, but the videos don't change just because you remodel the restaurant years later.
Right. Then that's a good question.
Ooh, the snow. Your image has got a mention by the snowman, by the way.
Well,
maybe that's an indicator that McCarthy's is one of the places the jury's going to take their field trip to.
Ooh, could be.
Maybe we should do some more images of the snowman in his native outfit.
In the bar.
We've already got some of those up in that outfit.
I know.
Not the clown outfit, the other one. The bra and the bra and the kilt.
That's right, yeah.
The bra and the kilt. So, hey.
A bra and a kilt walk into a bar.
Or was that no kilt? It was a skirt. I'm not telling.
Kilt, I tell you, kilt.
This is an extended break. They said up to 20 minutes, but it's
Yep,
been a
set
little
up
bit
to a half
more than
hour.
that. Did she say half an hour?
Uh-huh.
Now, let's throw some media on, give it another 3 minutes, and we'll be right back with you, folks. We're going to play my old theme song to the newscast, Phantoms with Stand Here and Wait. And we're back, guys. Take over for a second. There's somebody out front.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Perhaps maybe someone has actually come through with a promised visit. One can hope. It was always one of my favorite songs. I always liked that song.
Oh, might help if I unmute it if I want to communicate. Okay.
Yes, someone is auditing Jim's compound. Tomatoes. Yes, that would be funny.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. Maybe it's a visit from the skunk army. So what you doing for lunch today?
That's a good question. I might do burgers, but we just had a thunderstorm roll through, so there's that.
I got mac and cheese ready to put in the oven in about a half hour so it'll be ready for lunch.
Oh, nice.
You want to scratch mac and cheese with sausage added?
Oh, that sounds good. What kind of sausage?
Spicy Italian.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that would be good.
I gotta do up another brisket so I can have so all the left. I'll do a bunch of chopped brisket and put it in single serving packets in the freezer. Because I like making brisket, barbecue brisket mac and cheese.
Yes. You need to do a brisket. I haven't done a brisket in a while. You need to do a brisket. Well, it's still relatively
They're just so
reasonable.
damned expensive now.
I know. And it's going to get worse. I was just listening to a report on the trucking industry. Things are not going well.
Well, it might help if we could get somebody to figure out what a tariff actually does to the economy.
Well, there are lots of people who have figured it out, just not one that...
the one that I'm referring to.
Yeah.
All right. Chief has now gotten even better at scratching the point. Now both his hind legs are twitching.
All right. Good boy, Chief. Good boy. The papal Roddy has decided that I think she's part cat because she likes to lick herself clean.
Oh. And Chief has positioned himself to be my footrest. Start out torturing him a little bit and just put my feet on him without petting him with my feet. And he looked at me like I was committing a mortal sin, so I had to. Yeah, go. Has Jim been kidnapped by his stalker?
Let's hope we could have a viral video.
But we do have a hot mic because I just heard a cat, and I know it's not from you.
That's true. It is not from me.
All right.
We see the court in session.
Could I see counsel for a minute regarding scheduling, please?
Sidebar number 3.
Sidebar. I'm not at the computer, so I can't update it.
Let's see if I can figure it out.
Well, if you could figure it out, it would make Cicero moist.
Ruh-roh.
What the hell did I walk into?
We're in sidebar number 3.
Sidebar.
They came back just to go to a sidebar?
Yes. About scheduling. Sidebar.
Okay. That was one of the home texts for my dad who didn't know he had passed away.
Oh. Your services are no longer required.
Well, it's, and there's Turtle Boy front and center. With his hand in his crotch. There you go.
No, that ain't it, Hank. I did that too.
Yeah, that's not it.
Not it. Let's go.
The wrong.
Not it.
Why did you leave the old sidebars in there?
I didn't know I left the old sidebars in there.
Jim, answer your phone.
Yeah, it's not mine this time.
Tova, you take that back. We are not keeping it classy.
Keeping it classy. Oh, dear Lord. Yeah, he has angled himself on purpose to show his crotch.
Uh-huh.
He's made that choice. Thankfully, the female guard has stepped in front of him, but dear Lord.
Yep.
I also noticed that no one's actually sitting near him.
Jury, please. They're on the way around.
Okay, thank you.
Fix the sidebar. We're at 3.
I thought he did.
Oh, Jim doesn't even know how to do it now.
No, it's under banners. Then it's the bottom banner. You edit it and then put it back up.
Lieutenant Fan.
Goes back to section and ABC.
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Just a few more items I'd like you to recognize. Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Showing you an envelope. Do you know what's in that envelope?
Yes, the raw data extraction of John O'Keefe's cell phone.
Your Honor, I'd ask it to be marked simply for identification, please.
Okay. Exhibit A, identification. Thank you.
Second folder.
Yes, the raw data extraction of Jen McCabe's cell phone that I created.
Thank you, sir. Your Honor, I'd ask it to be marked for identification as well.
All right. Exhibit B for identification. Thank you.
Trooper, you shared with us that you downloaded the extraction of the phones that you identified, and you made reports based on specific identified features. For example, a conversation between two people.
Yeah, so I didn't do the extraction of Jen's phone, but I made those reports with the PDFs from the data extraction.
Relative to Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant's phones, you created a document that provided us phone calls between them on January 29th?
Yes, that's correct.
And separately, you also provided a document that included all of the chats or text messages between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 29, 2022.
Yes. It also included the 28th.
Thank you.
Yes.
And in that compilation, did you put together or do you create or review a PowerPoint of those?
Yes, I did.
And what was the point of that?
Just to show the texts and calls in a chronological order, because that way you're not looking at two different documents trying to compare and contrast the calls to text messages when each is coming in.
And did you begin that PowerPoint presentation with a call at 2:16:10 on January 28, 2022?
Yes, that's correct.
And are there additional chats or text messages earlier that morning?
Yes, there's a handful starting around 9:45 a.m.
May I
Yes.
approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Handing you a folder, sir. Could you take a look at it? Let us know if you recognize what's in it.
Yes. So this is the bulk of this is the PowerPoint calls and text messages, and at the beginning there's the messages from before 2:16 in the morning.
I'd like to introduce this as an exhibit, Your Honor.
Okay.
No objection, Your Honor.
Great, thank you. Exhibit 33.
For permission, I'd ask the witness to read the text messages from the morning hours, and then we'll begin the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have a hard copy of those for me?
It was provided. I'll see if you have another copy if you don't have it.
All right, I have, it's in here, the pre-morning hours. The ones that we discussed at sidebar. If you don't have them,
The defense has a copy for you, Your Honor.
thank you.
Madam? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Little.
Okay, thank you.
May we begin, Your Honor?
Please.
Could you first read the text messages from that morning to the jury?
Yes. Apologize if I misspelled things or state things. Start time, all right. It's a little different than the format I had before. All right, this is from Karen Reed to John O'Keefe. You have really hurt me this time. This was sent at 9:49:20 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm sorry, this has been an issue with me for 8 years. It physically hurts me to see everyone else in their life do things for them, and I'm forced to always be the bad guy. This was sent at 10:02:56 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm not the same as everyone else. Most of the time I try to do what is healthy/smart for them. More importantly, I try to support you in what you need. You just lashed out at me and said terrible things. I don't know how you've gotten to this point with me when I'm just trying my hardest. You made your point and continue to beat me down. I have a lot going on too. Physically, I am falling apart and trying to get answers and help. 10:09:49 a.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am just your girlfriend. I am not a perfect parent. I am trying very hard and sometimes treat them - nothing like I used to. 10:46 a.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know, I'm sorry for lashing out. I'm just hurting and struggle daily with them. Always feel like I'm failing at this parenting thing. I wasn't built for this. 10:14, 12 a.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Kaylee isn't perfect, but everything wonderful about her is because of you. 12:21:36 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji is sent at 12:21:59 on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, it's true, I know she's her mother's daughter, but she wouldn't be so bright and successful if she lived with anyone else. 12:22:51 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, wow, Kristen just sent 2 back-to-back messages to not lose your faith in the kids. 12:31:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or in yourself, at 12:31:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, there's 2 emojis sent at 12:32:06 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, and there's 2 emojis. Life can pick you up sometimes. Please be happy with them and put away your frustrations for the rest of the day. And be so proud of yourself, JJ. That's 12:33:35 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, that's what bothers me more than anything. Should have sent Peg's or Sarah's W-2s. We are all equal guardians. 1:18:21 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, maybe you can call someone. 1:21:55 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like who? 1:46:42 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what time are you coming here? 1:47:38 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's another emoji sent, 2:05:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know what time, feel kind of out of it, just trying to clear my head, 2:06:07 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he writes, okay, 2:06:25 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, text me when you guys settle in later, 2:06:44 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, sure, 2:06:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to, oh, no, it's cut off, yes, sir.
Yeah. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
That must be where the, so,
Would it be helpful if I take it out of the binder for you?
I believe it, yeah, it goes to the next one, so I'll start. Yeah, sorry.
With the court's permission, we'll begin the PowerPoint.
Yes.
At your leisure.
Okay. The phone calls, text messages, and then we'll start with the first slide. This is from the defendant to John O'Keefe. I feel pretty shitty about how this morning went down. I know you said sorry, but it really stung, especially when I've been trying pretty hard lately. I feel like a loser turning around, just coming back over after everything you said. 2:16:10 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not sure what you want me to do. I said I'm sorry and I was out of line. If you prefer to stay home, I totally get it. 2:17:16 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, things in my own life have been difficult too, you know. 2:17:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I know. 2:17:40 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:17:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The phone call is answered and they speak for 2 minutes, 22 seconds. 2:23:02 p.m., the defendant calls John. That's again answered. At 1:00, and they speak for 1 minute, 2 seconds. At 2:24:17 p.m., the defendant calls John and the call is rejected. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, tell me if you're interested in someone else. Can't think of any other reason you've been like this. 2:25:18 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, nope. 2:25:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, things haven't been great between us for a while. Ever consider that? 2:26:03 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:28:40 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected.
Mr. Greeno, can you explain to us the difference between not answered and rejected?
Yes, so if the call is not answered, that means the call rang out and goes to voicemail. If the call is rejected, that is someone actively hitting the send to voicemail button to disable the call, to stop it from ringing. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, kids are here, not in the mood to talk. 2:29:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into it anymore. That's fine, but I don't want to keep trying and you keep treating me like this. 2:29:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm trying to hug and kiss you this morning and you whack me in the face with a pillow. 2:29:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, last night you're basically like, yeah, what about when we talk about the future? So why don't you just admit you're not into so much anymore? 2:30:23 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not how it went down, but okay. 2:30:26 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please admit your head is out of the game with us? 2:30:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, sick of always arguing and fighting. It's been weekly for several months now. So yeah, I'm not as quick to jump back into being lovey-dovey as you apparently. 2:32:28 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:32:47 p.m., the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, OMG, stop calling. 2:32:54 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then why would you start with me this morning? 2:32:58 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you're setting me up to fail. 2:33:05 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you started a number of fights from your end. 2:33:26 p.m. on the 28th. And John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've explained it a few times already, not doing it again. 2:33:31 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so you're not into this anymore. 2:33:41 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, not into fighting all the time, correct. 2:34:03 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you tell me you're interested in someone else, you will never hear from me again. You can have all the space in the world. 2:34:11 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, he sends an emoji. 2:34:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, then stop starting with me. 2:34:20 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:29 p.m. the defendant calls John. He rejects the call. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'm not answering. Stop calling. 2:34:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer after how you treated me earlier? 2:34:43 p.m. on the 28th. 2:34:54 p.m. the defendant calls John. That's rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant, Kaylee is right here. 2:35:02 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, you start a rager with me out of nowhere and then tell me you're sick of fighting with me. 2:35:41 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm going to grab a drink in a bit. 2:38:14 p.m. on the 28th. 2:38:42 p.m. the defendant calls John. That call is rejected. The defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please answer? 2:38:52 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, no Karen, not sure why you need to announce that you're going, not sure why you need to announce that you're grabbing a drink, but have fun. 2:39:46 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, seeing if you want to meet me later. 2:40:22 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you please call me? 2:40:32 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, have to take them to the doctor, he has practice. 2:40:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, 5 minutes. 2:41:17 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:43:01 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's not answered. At 2:43:45 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. John O'Keefe to the defendant. My father just walked in. 2:43:58 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay, can you please call me for 2 minutes? 2:44:14 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. Not right now. 2:44:23 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I'm there when anyone else needs me. 2:44:26 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:45:32 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. The defendant calls Mr. O'Keefe. Yes, John, you gave me utter grief this morning. I'd like you to call me for a minute. 2:46:16 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I've been trying to get over the hump with is arguing, and now you tell me you're not into doing things, and you don't want to fight weekly, but fly off the handle at 8 a.m. with me, like you're setting me up to fail. 2:47:08 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe. I've been dealing with my own personal crisis over things I have zero control over. I'd like to lean on you too sometimes. Instead, I just hear everything I've done wrong. 2:48:34 p.m. on the 28th. At 2:56 p.m., the defendant calls John. The call is rejected. At 2:51:13 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected. 2:52:37 p.m., John calls the defendant. It's not answered. At 2:53:56, the defendant calls John. Again, not answered. The defendant, John O'Keefe, you seriously cannot pick up the phone for 2 seconds. 2:54:13 p.m. 2:58:05 p.m., the defendant calls John. It's rejected. At 2:59:13, John calls the defendant. The call is answered and they speak for 4 minutes, 59 seconds.
Wow, he gave her
From the
exactly
defendant to John
5
O'Keefe,
minutes.
why don't you meet me at Hillside at 4:30/5, 3:08:55 p.m. John O'Keefe to the defendant sends an emoji at 3:10:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or whenever you get, or whenever you get everyone settled, 3:10:35 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, like I said, doctor now, and he has practice till 6. If you want me to go start, if you want to go start drinking, then go for it. 3:36:21 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I didn't know the times of his practice. 3:36:40 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I just want to give you space at the house without me there. So rather meet you out than meet at the house. 3:37:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, yeah, well now there's a 72-year-old taking up shop on my couch. 3:37:36 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, that too. 3:37:46 p.m. 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is he going to Collins? 3:38:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, not tonight. 3:38:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, so do you plan on going out tonight? 3:39:01 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Karen, I don't know. 3:39:17 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you're like jonesing to drink, so go. 3:39:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, after how this morning went down, I don't think I need to be back over there with you. Get frustrated at how I am with the kids. Has nothing to do with drinking. 3:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I am paranoid now that everything I do with them is problematic. So rather see you for a minute without it, kids around. 3:40:24 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what's your plan at 4:47:16 p.m. on the 28th? From the defendant to John O'Keefe, don't have one, 4:50:09 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so still home, 4:50:26 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, yes, 4:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we just got home, waiting to see what Papa decides here or else I have to get Patrick at 6. 4:59:45 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, 5:01:55 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, so are you staying home or coming here? 5:02:23 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, waiting to see what you end up doing. I don't want to hang out at the house too much, like I said. 5:03:40 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I think it's clear me around the kids, I think it's clear me around with the kids around is slowly killing our relationship, and our relationship is much more important to me. 5:04:16 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, well, there's a blizzard coming, so we'll be inside all weekend. 5:04:19 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, it will be over by noon tomorrow. 5:04:44 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't think so. 5:05:27 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't want to keep having this constant conflict of the dynamic of the four of us. The harder I try, the more it kills our relationship as a couple. It feels like utter shit to be in that position. Rather just meet you out for drinks when you figure out what your night looks like. 5:06:45 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, well, I have no idea what's going on, so do what you want. 5:07:34 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, need to figure out what everyone here is doing. All I know now is Madeline is coming over. No clue about Patrick yet, or if Papa is planning on hanging it for a few more hours. 5:09:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay, well, when you know the story, and if you want me to come up, let me know. 5:12:36 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, no, Karen, you decide what you want to do. 5:13:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I know your heart isn't in this anymore. I felt it for a while, and especially lately. I'm willing to try more, but not if you approaching the point of indifference. If you want me to come up and you can head out for a while, then say so when you know what your father is doing. 5:14:23 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you come up and I head out, really? Emoji. 5:15:48. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I've told you already, I don't bounce back as quickly as you do after we have a battle. 5:16:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, head out together with an emoji. 5:17:49 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or meet out. 5:17:54 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, gonna send Patrick to Collins tonight. They're picking him up around 7. Mike may hang out too when he brings Matt over. So why don't you just come over? 5:19:42 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike doesn't want to go out for a bit, 5:20 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I would like to, been a shit day from the jump, 5:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, probably 5:39 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I just got sober an hour ago, 5:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'll text you, hang with Mike for a few. I don't need to butt in. Text me if/when you think you may head out. 5:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, can you send me Tim Zoll's contact info, please? 5:38 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I paid the last bill, 5:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, you didn't have to do that, thanks. 5:27:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, are you really not going to accept my friend request? 5:33 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji on what, FB? 5:33:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, we've been going out for 2 years. 5:33:20 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I haven't gone on. You defriended me over a year ago, I believe. 5:33:48 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Carrie texted that they're headed out in a bit. 6:05:29 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, okay, 6:14:55 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, she's going to let me know where, 6:17:51 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so you're going to meet them, 6:18:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, just presenting it as an option, wouldn't mind hanging out with them for a drink. 6:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, is Mike over? 6:27:26 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes, 6:29:45 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, sounds you're like good with getting together tonight, 6:31:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, was hoping after this morning you'd be interested in smoothing things over with me, 6:32:24 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, told you to come over but you insisted on meeting me out somewhere, 6:33:44 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Mike is a little off with me for a while now. I've said that multiple times, 6:34:34 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to Karen, the defendant, time to get over it, Karen. He's fine. He was fine the other night when he came by. 6:38:09 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah. Where are you meeting them? 6:39:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't have plans with them. She just said they're headed out in a bit and will text when they land somewhere. 6:39:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if you want to go out with Mike solo, that's fine. Just let me know. 6:40:17 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, I already told you what you should do. Not going to keep doing this. 6:41:07 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I asked to let me know if you guys are going to head out. I haven't been out for drinks this week and had a shit week and a shit day. and I dread Kaylee or Pat is going to get chatty with me the second I walk in, and that is going to irritate you. 6:43:21 on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Pat is leaving, Kay is with Mad Cam. 6:44:02 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, I'll text Chris then. 6:46:44 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're headed out shortly. What's your plan, Karen? 7:06:13 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, do you want me to join or no? 7:06:37 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, yes, wasn't sure if you were meeting the Currans. 7:07:04 p.m. on the 28th.
Would help if I unmuted myself. Becca, yes, these are messages up until his death.
PM on the 28th.
So the Saturday and the Sunday, I believe.
From the defendant to John O'Keefe, where are you headed? 7:09:22 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, trying to decide maybe McCarthy's. 7:14:48 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, okay then, let me know where you decide. I'm still down in Enfield. 7:21:50 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, text me when you leave. Still waiting on McKinney's. 7:22:28 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm having issues with my hot water, so had to text someone to take a look. 7:24:11 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, an emoji, you trying to piss me off. 7:25:35 on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, hope your plumber buddy that you texted is hot. 7:26:24 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, nope, my shower only got lukewarm and now my sink won't run hot at all. The plumber I used is right down the road. 7:26:27 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I turned that temp thing in the basement all the way up. 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, check the hot water heater and see if it's leaking. 7:26:52 p.m. on the 28th. The defendant to John O'Keefe, it's not. 7:26:59 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't do that. 7:27:01 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, is the pilot lit? 7:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I was trying to get my shower hot. 7:27:12 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yes, 7:27:14 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, don't turn it up. Don't turn it all the way up. 7:27:26 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, it will burn out. 7:27:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I had this issue twice before and it wasn't a disaster. I just can't remember what the cause was. 7:27:41 on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, just turn it back to where it was and get over here. 7:28:08 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't want to come home in a blizzard and then really be up shit creek. 7:28:53 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, so you're going home tonight? 7:29:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, or tomorrow or whenever. I've had a chill all day since my shower. 7:29:45 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, it's going to snow all day tomorrow, no driving. 7:30:05 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're headed to McCarthy's. 7:41:29 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, Okay, let me know if you end up leaving. 7:41:57 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, why now you're not coming? 7:42:27 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I'm waiting for the plumber. I actually think he's in the driveway. 7:42:56 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, we're taking Mike's car, so I'm relying on you for a ride home if he leaves. 7:43:10 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he's not going home after. 7:43:27 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, 8 o'clock on a Friday, emoji, 7:43:31 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, he may have to get Michael, 7:43:46 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, you have a plumber coming over at 8, knowing me and Papa could have handled it. Good luck. 7:44:36 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I have always told you I will not put either of you out of your way the way everyone else in your life does. I knew it wasn't working right when you were at the doctor's with Kaylee, and I knew neither of you could get here. And this guy, Richie, fixed it last time, whatever it was. He was supposed to be here at 5, 7:48:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, if it's not a quick fix, I'll tell him to forget it. 7:48:20 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, if you need a new water heater, don't let him do it. 7:55:04 p.m. on the 28th. I just want to make sure nothing is wrong / will go wrong with when I'm not home. 7:55:44 on the 28th. From the defendant, John O'Keefe, he's not a scammer if he doesn't even charge me for. 7:56:06 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he just put the toilet seats on crooked. 7:56:28 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, status, 8:09:02 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, still here with an emoji, 8:09:18 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, said he's got to go to HD and probably be back mañana. 8:23:56 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, so 8:24:43 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, an emoji, 8:25:02 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, just trying to figure out if I need to be here, 8:25:51 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, what does it need, 8:26:01 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, I don't know, he showed me some pieces that was all rusted with an emoji. I don't understand half this stuff, 8:26:42 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant, on the water heater, 8:26:59 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yes, 8:27:08 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, tell him to leave it, I'll take care of it Sunday or Monday, 8:28:30 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, no, it's okay, I can either meet him here or just shut off the alarm, 8:28:52 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, he used to work here while I was at work, 8:29:02 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, does he realize it will be whiteout conditions tomorrow a.m., 8:29:32 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe, yeah, but he lives right down the road, 8:29:47 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant, Karen, this storm is going to be intense, can't drive, 8:30:19 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. Okay, well, if he can't, he can't. 8:36 p.m. on the 28th. John O'Keefe to the defendant. I'll do it Monday. 8:56 p.m. on the 28th. From the defendant to John O'Keefe. I better not still have this problem on Monday. 8:22 p.m. on the 28th. From John O'Keefe to the defendant. You plan on being there.
Breaking news in another case that we're following, the Lane Myers case. Number one, they have dropped the motion for a rehearing on bond. And second, William Parvin has issued a motion to withdraw as advisory counsel to Lane Myers on the first set of charges. He still represents Myers on the second set of charges, as Myers has not been awarded the ability to go pro se. We do not have any details, as the documents are listed again, but they are not available for download. I will have full updates later on as soon as I get the documents. But again, they have dropped in the Myers case. They have decided not to have or not to pursue the bond hearing or rebond hearing, which was scheduled to be heard, I believe it was May 5th. And Parvin is out as advisory. He says send all disclosure directly to Myers. Sorry for interrupting the coverage, but yeah, that's breaking news for those who follow it.
If you leave. 8:26 p.m. on the 28th.
In other words, I'm tired of his bullshit.
And an emoji. He says sure. 8:34 p.m. on the 28th. And that was the last of them.
We're almost done, sir.
And you can feel free to stand.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
So that presentation is a compilation of text messages and phone calls between John O'Keefe and the defendant on January 28, 2022.
Yes, that was.
Aside from that compilation, are there other text messages and phone calls that you've reviewed between John O'Keefe and the defendant that evening, January 28, 2002, going into past midnight, January 29, 2022?
Yes, there's more text messages.
And those text messages and phone calls, are they a separate compilation from this?
Yes, that's correct.
At this time, I'd ask us to release Trooper Garino and recall him at a later date.
Yes. All right. There's no objection, Mr. Alessi, correct?
No objection, subject to eventual.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Trooper. We'll see you another time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Is this the time for me to see counsel at sidebar? Okay. Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to introduce exhibits or clips 7 through 11.
Exhibit 34.
Thank you.
With the court's permission, could I begin with clip 7?
Yes.
When you walked out of the bar, how many drinks had you had?
I had probably about 4, and not 4 that I completed either. I didn't drink maybe more than a few sips at the waterfall.
And 4 drinks you felt fine to drive?
Yep.
Clip 8, please.
Okay.
And is the level of intoxication pretty high here for everybody?
It's happy.
Yeah.
It's
Because you'd had a lot to drink, right?
I wouldn't say I had like a normal amount. Was it like a vodka tonic every 40 minutes?
Okay. And so are you feeling like buzzed? And I'm not judging, I'm just trying to get a sense.
Buzzed.
Yeah.
Clip 9, please.
with my alcohol intakes, probably about 5 or 6 or 4. The drinks that they were pouring me at McCarthy's, which is where I consumed most of the alcohol, was the weakest vodka tonic. It tasted just like all soda water with lime. Not that I need it to be a martini, but it might have had a splash of vodka in it. So I said, John, this drink tastes like it has no vodka in it. And he said, just get a shot and mix it yourself. So each drink was being counted as a double. So I would get a vodka tonic, and then I would pour a shot into it, so that would count as 2. Frankly, it just felt like a regular cocktail. It was just a really weak pour, so I asked for a shot. So for my taste, it just tasted like that's the normal strength of what it.
She doesn't sound like an alcoholic whatsoever, does she?
I had maybe 2 or 3 that are being counted as 4 and 6, and I don't know. I felt fine. I felt like I was buzzed. And then there was one drink, the last one that was given to me, which I would have counted as 3, but they're counting as my 6th cocktail. The guys that we were with brought around shots, and they gave me one that I didn't drink, but I poured it in my drink. So that's now my 5th and 6th drinks, with the 7th, which is a shot that all the men did, and I poured it. So that one glass that I'm holding, that I go into the waterfall with, has 3 drinks in it, a vodka tonic and 2 shots. And which is why John said to me, you're not leaving that drink here, like you haven't touched it and just poured a bunch of vodka. He's like, just take it with you, which was something he always did. So then I go into waterfall, and I put that drink down and I socialize most of the time. So that would have been my 5th, 6th, and 7th drinks. Then John orders me a drink at the waterfall that I don't drink, that he takes with him. And then there was a round of shots that Chris Howard bought that I did take. So that would have been the night. But I did not consume 9 vodka martinis or take 9 shots, depending on how you count it. And the last 2 drinks I didn't touch.
Clip 10, please.
I mean, I'm not as clear as I would be if I hadn't been drinking. I mean, I had drank, so, and that led me to question, like, could I have hit him? Did I run over his foot or hit him in the knee? Did I incapacitate him? I mean, I always drive with my music blasting ever since I was 16, and I know when John got out of the car to go into Fairview, I know my car was blasting because when I got in it the next morning to go look for him, I had to immediately turn it down. And I don't know, it's stormy. I have had a few cocktails. I didn't black out, but I wasn't as lucid as I would have been if I had gone to bed at 9 and drank a tea. But so I was fuzzier than I would have been if I had had no alcohol.
Clip 11, please.
How did you feel after that many drinks? When you got in the car, did you feel like you could drive, and did you feel how
I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway. I wouldn't have gotten on the expressway at 12:15 on January 29th. I mean, it was quiet. The roads were very quiet. You can see it on the videos. And I was going, you know, when I've had a few drinks and I drive, I always drive extra slow. So I know my alerts aren't as sharp as they should be. But I shouldn't have been driving. But I don't think I was driving. I know I wasn't driving recklessly. I mean, I've got plenty of video of myself driving all over the place. I put my car in John's garage, which is incredibly narrow, and I had a very oversized SUV. You see me, there's a video of me driving through the intersection when we leave Waterfall to go to Brian Albert's, and I was always taught by my father, even when you have a green light, you always should tap the brake, and you don't know who's going to run red. And I see me doing that multiple times between 12 and 1 and 5 and 6 a.m. So I know I was driving safely, not as safely or as alert as I would be if I had no alcohol. But I was not driving recklessly by any measure.
Thank you. Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Sidebar, now that I'm unmuted. Phil had to step away for a bit, so we are here with you guys, waiting for the sidebar to come back. Again, we are following up on the Lane Myers news. It looks like his attorney, I don't know.
What don't you know? Don't you know?
What happened between the two of them, or if this is just a tactical thing.
I missed the first half of that, so what are you talking about?
Oh,
The Lane Myers news with his attorney
there was some confusion with
withdrawing.
counsel regarding witnesses.
Did you want to
those
represent
are the
him?
Witnesses for today, so we're done for today. Counsel assures me that won't happen again, but more importantly,
Wait,
we're
they're done
on
for
track.
today?
We're on schedule, not going for the rest of the day, won't interfere with our schedule at all. It looks like it's, I can't tell with all the curtains here, but it looks like
Nap
you
time.
have a nice afternoon. Tomorrow we'll be going on a view. So for that, we're comfortable clothes. We'll be walking around a little bit. We'll be going by bus, and I'll have more instructions for you tomorrow morning. But please follow those instructions. Do not.
We may not have
discuss
coverage
this case with
tomorrow
anyone.
until
Don't
it
do any
actually starts
independent
up because
research
they're
or
going on a view.
investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Remember, tomorrow's a holiday.
All rise for the court, please. Close your notebooks and follow me.
Okay, let's see what they do if they come back for motions. So if you hadn't heard her, folks, there was some sort of confusion with witnesses, so it's going to be a half day today. And good night, Griffey. I'll have some more disturbing renders for you when you wake up. For those who need something to do, if this is indeed ending, please switch over to our newscast.
Mr. Brennan, have you had an opportunity to think about whether experts should be permitted to either be present or watch the proceeding? And I also want to know, are you expecting to put on any expert testimony tomorrow?
Dr. Fowler will testify tomorrow. I think that should be considered expert testimony. He provides the procedures and protocol for the testing of blood serum.
Okay.
So I think he's technically considered an expert, although one of the briefer ones.
All right. Does the defense want an expert to be able to watch that? All right. So I know we've had a lot going on this morning. Do you want to address this tomorrow? When do you want to address whether experts should be present?
If I can address it tomorrow morning, I can consider
All right. We'll do that. And have you talked about who you all mean? Like, do you all know who you want to have exempt from the sequestration order?
We haven't got to that detail. I'm sure they have in mind who they want. I haven't gotten to that point yet.
All right.
We can have that discussion and so that we can present it tomorrow what my position is and address the court on the witnesses.
Sure, we can do that. And then I know you said that you've got an agreement that you'll provide witnesses or a list of witnesses in advance to defense counsel, and I'm sure you'll provide witnesses in advance to Mr. Brennan. Include me on that, please. I'd just like to know who's coming up the next day because I have to prepare as well.
Happy to, thank you.
Okay? All right, so we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you again.
And we're done, folks. Thank you again for being here today. We didn't expect this, as this was an unexpected for the court themselves. We are, again, we have the newscast up. It was up at 8 o'clock this morning. If you need another 20 minutes to kill or so, it is another all pants issue. So take a look at that. We are monitoring both the Chile de Castro documents coming through, and we're waiting for the Lane Myers documents to come through. If need be, we will beg Judy to go over to the courthouse and get the documents, as right now they're listed as available at the courthouse only, but usually they show up on e-access sometime in the afternoon. So we should have those for you. That breaking news, again, Myers' attorney has withdrawn as the associate counsel slash helper attorney in the main case. He is still the attorney of record in the second case because Myers has not issued a motion or been granted a motion to go pro se in that case. They've also dropped their motion for to be heard if Myers should get bond again. So not sure what's going on, but there's a ton of developments in the Lane Myers case. Well, it should have that for you tomorrow morning or later today in the newspaper. Any last words, Hank?
Nope.
Okay, you gonna get a nap?
Yep.
Okay, well, I won't keep you from your nap. Let's get out of here. Thank you again for everybody being here. And have a great day. We'll talk to you tonight at 8 o'clock.